Tauti mai anō, welcome back. Māori face a dilemma. Of the 27 million hectares of land in New Zealand, they now only own 6% of it. And 80% of that is categorised as some of the worst in the country, suitable only for forestry. So what do they do with it? Do they make as much money off it as they can, $40 billion by government estimates, by planting pine for carbon credits? Or do they take a hit and return it all to native forest? Or is there a third option? Here's our Māori Affairs correspondent, Te Rina Kōwhai.
Patungarongaro te tangata, toi tū te whenua. This Māori proverb talks about the deep connection Māori have with their land. But years with confiscation and land alienation have left Māori with some of the worst whenua in Aotearoa.
The scale only goes to 8, and 8 is the worst classification. And 80% of Māori's 1.6 million hectares is in category 6 to 8.
Half of Māori land is underutilised. Most of it is marginal and steep, meaning forests are the only option. If that land was planted right now, it could be worth $40 billion to Māori landowners through carbon credits. Trouble is the government is considering removing those credits on exotic forests. Te Kapunga Jews represents Māori foresters and wants the government to leave the payment alone.
So is it a racist proposed policy?
A policy that would perpetuate the continued suppression of Māori being able to realise economic benefit from our marginal and underutilised land. And if that's racist or institutionally racist, then yes, I do.
Carbon credits have proved to be an attractive investment for many landowners. Over the past year, the price has doubled from $35 per carbon unit to over $80. But if New Zealand's to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050, exotic tree farming is a fast-track way to meet that goal.
Probably in shorter term, exotics, simply because they give us a much greater return on carbon, and our immediate issue, of course, in New Zealand is that we've got to meet our liability by 2030 and again by 2050.
And with a push toward native tree planting, biodiversity advisor for Māori Forest, Doug McCready, says there's another way for Māori to benefit.
We are in Aotearoa, the land of the rainforest, the land that once had nothing but forest and birds.
Whether it's exotic or native, what we've got here in Whakarewarewa Forest, which is over 100 years old, is an example that both can coexist. It's thought to be the only iwi-based experiment where native trees are nurtured under a canopy of exotics.
As we can see, a massive uptake of native undergrowth, a whole range of undergrowth species, including rewa, including some canopy species, and this is all with no assistance to that transition. Basically, we are in the middle of a transition of an exotic forest slowly becoming a native forest.
Let us have the opportunity to lift ourselves up through this pathway, generate economic wealth, generate environmental benefits, and generate the option for Māori to then do something with our land, which we currently can't.
The consultation period for removing exotics from the permanent forest category closed this week. Newshub has approached the Forestry Minister Stuart Nash's office several times for an interview or statement, but as yet we've had no response. Te Rina Kōwhai, Newshub.